Layla Abu Zaid depicted a world of economic stability with the family's tangible needs met through her father's employment as tradition prescribed, while her mother cared for the home and children. The Mernissi family resided in an ornate two-story home in Fez, Morocco. She described her home in great detail as she spent the vast majority of her time within its walls, as did the majority of the middle-class women. The home, consistent with all aspects of her life, provided distinct boundaries. The courtyard was surrounded by 4 huge salons with windows, gates, brocaded drapes with velvet and lace, and carved wooden shutters. Her father told her that, quote, harmony exists when each group respects the prescribed limits of the other. Trespassing leads only to sorrow and unhappiness, but women dreamed of trespassing all the time. The world beyond the gate was their obsession. The Mernissi family lived in a communal harem with Mr. Mernissi's extended family. Fatima's family resided in a salon and rooms directly across the courtyard from her uncle, his wife, and their 7 children. Lala Mani, Fatima's paternal grandmother, occupied the most ornate salon, and the 4th salon was private for the men of the harem. Proper etiquette and rules were mandated for the presence of people outside the family. Visits were made twice daily to Lala Mani, that is the grandmother, by all, to kiss her hand and then to leave her in peace and quiet. Women had to go through a negotiating process with their husbands and the gatekeeper to receive permission to go in and out of the front gate of the harem. Mernissi's mother had great difficulty accepting the constraints that came with life in this communal harem. She utilized storytelling as a coping mechanism for her life. She chafed under the constraints and attempted to make her own secret breakfast as a way of rebelling. The women of the Mernissi harem created a world of their own to go to for support, enjoyment, and strength. The younger women of the harem, including Fatima's mother, would make games out of their household chores, such as splashing games with the children while cleaning the courtyard fountain. Once the men left for the day, a secret key to the men's salon unlocked the radio so that dancing and singing love songs could follow. The pictures that Layla Abu Zaid and Fatima Mernissi painted in their memoirs transport the reader to the worlds in which they lived. One can grasp the confines that women, specifically the mothers, endured day to day. Both women experienced economic security, gender segregation, and social isolation. These women relied on themselves and their female relatives to find strength and happiness through their storytelling and love for their families. Their lives continually evolved to encompass the society in which they lived and the challenges that each new day brought. She goes on to talk about the French Protectorate in Morocco and the effect that that had on the Abu Zaid family. Essentially, her father was opposed to the French Protectorate and was arrested by the French government, along with other top-ranking members of the Nationalist Party. And this had a dramatic effect on her family's life. The lives of the entire Abu Zaid family changed drastically with the imprisonment of her father. The family's home was confiscated after the arrest, and the neighbors were too frightened to speak on behalf of the mother. It's to speak to the mother. She was forced to rely on a bus driver that knew her family to help her to get to her husband's family home in Beni Mellal, which was traditionally unheard of. Unheard of for the wife to go to the husband's family. This is also unusual in the as the first recourse for support would normally be to her own family, her own kin group. Her grandfather proceeded to take her mother to court to sue her on grounds, Layla's grandfather took her mother to court to sue her on grounds that her father had divorced her, therefore the family did not owe her any support. Her mother defended herself in court to provide for her children, as she had no one else to rely on. So she displayed a great deal of inner strength, not only confronting the imprisonment of her husband, but also confronting the hostility of her husband's family. Layla's mother left the children with her cousins when she visited her father in prison, and she took care of the family's needs with financial support from the Nationalist Party. She also had to go out of her way to find out which prison her husband was imprisoned in. She had to acquire a permit to visit her husband. She had to wait sometimes for long periods, even when she had permission to visit her husband, and so on. Basically, all the decisions that traditionally belonged to the male of the household now fell on the mother of the household. Layla Ahmed's memoir, A Border Passage from Cairo to America, A Woman's Journey, relates her family's transition from a life of comfort and prosperity as members of Cairo's middle-class family to existence of continuous political repression from the government they once supported. In essence, Layla Ahmed's father was an engineer, and when the revolution took place in 1952 in Egypt, the new president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, wanted to build the Aswan High Dam, which was a major public works project that he was using as a kind of economic development, but also as a prestige project. Her father, as an engineer, understood that this was going to be a disaster for the local economy in the area of Aswan, and he lobbied, or he struggled mightily, strongly against the dam, which was one of Nasser's favorite projects. So as a result, Nasser had him thrown out of the government. So they went from living a comfortable middle-class lifestyle, very similar to Fatima Mernissi's and Layla Abu Zaid's, with female relatives visiting the household regularly, discussions about what to do about various aspects of the family, entertainment in the grandmother's receiving room with Turkish coffee, food, gossips, impressions, plays, and so on. Visits to their other home in Alexandria. They went from that to essentially poverty. Her father contracted pneumonia, so the mother was responsible for not only caring for her father, but also finding the means to obtain the medicine that her father needed, and so on. And the fact that the children at this point were grown up and out of the household also put tremendous pressure on Layla Ahmed's mother. Although the Ahmed children were grown up, yes. In conclusion, then, Arab women of the harem have shown astounding resilience and strength every day of their lives in the duties that they have fulfilled, embracing the roles that they have been allotted, and attacking unforeseen trials without wavering. The women depicted in the memoirs of Fatima Mernissi, Layla Abu Zaid, and Layla Ahmed provide a testament to this. The mothers of Mernissi and Abu Zaid lived lives of relative comfort in 1950s Morocco, within the boundaries of the harems of the Arab world laid out for them. The family was cherished above all else in the world that these women lived. These mother figures fulfilled their duties and struggled within their roles to create a private world of support and individuality. The Arab world was forced to mold and change over time due to the influx of Western ways. Western colonization and political repression impacted the lives in the Arab world in unforeseen ways that trickled down from government to family to individual. The Abu Zaid and Ahmed families experienced the all-encompassing effects of this repression. Mother figures supported their families by utilizing means and resources that were formerly out of their reach due to the perceptions of gender-related roles and the isolation of women from men outside of their families. The mother figure of the Arab family was called upon to take up new roles of leadership and independence to help their families in ways that were previously deemed beyond the reach and beyond their rights. Change and evolution, such as that seen in the 1950s, will always be a part of life for the world, for Arab cultures, for families, and most of all, for women. And that concludes Katie Coffey's paper.